Welcome to All Home Care Matters, the show where we discuss all things home care, with discussions on important age-related matters and topics. Brought to you by Enriched Life Home Care Services, the #1 rated home care provider in Michigan by Top Rated Local.
Hello, and welcome back to All Home Care Matters. If this is your first time visiting us here at the show, we want to say thank you for taking time out to be with us today. We appreciate how valuable everyone's time is, and that's why we try and make each episode here at All Home Care Matters something that will hopefully matter to you. Today, we are honored to welcome Katrina Love Prescott, producer, caregiver coach, and advocate, as well as the genius behind the successful YouTube series, Things Not to Say to a Caregiver. Welcome, Katrina Love Prescott. She is a producer, caregiver, coach, and advocate, and also the mind behind the successful YouTube series, Things Not to Say to a Caregiver. Welcome, Katrina. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for having me, Lance.
Our pleasure. So we just introduced you as a producer, a caregiver, a coach, and an advocate. So you have a lot of titles. Let's start with a caregiver coach. How did you get involved with that?
Okay, well, good. Another good question. Thank you. You have good questions for me all the time. So I was caregiving for my mom who was living with young onset dementia. I didn't know anything about dementia, Alzheimer's. I knew nothing. I was in I guess it would have been my early mid 30s when this happened. And I really didn't know anything. I didn't even believe that my mom was living with dementia. Like I just couldn't believe it. So anyway, I'm in Canada. We should probably say that. I'm in Canada, so it's different.
Where are you from, Katrina?
I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm from here, but I'm also American, so I have a lot going on. But this all took place here, and of course, probably everybody knows we have universal health care here, so it's different than in the States. I've spent time navigating things in the States because my dad is in the States. But I really didn't know anything. And the doctor said, call the Alzheimer's Society. Oh, okay, like there's help. Someone's going to help us. So, I call the Alzheimer's Society. I think they're going to send in a team of people, do this, do that, send help. Like this is a 911. This is a call for help. And they don't have that. That isn't available. They talk to you for 15 minutes every few months. And they have some education. The education I found to be quite challenging to get through. I was sitting at a table with 3 grown men and they were weeping by the time we all left. And I was like, gosh, this is such an ineffective way to engage people around this diagnosis. And I was already a life coach, and kind of as my caregiving journey progressed, I learned so much, and I was navigating the system because I kind of took the caregiving role on the way that I would a production. Mm-hmm. Right? So there's no in production, right? Like you have to get it done. You're getting it done. And if it's really a no, you've tried A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like you've gone down the gamut. So anyhow, I was making things happen. It was challenging, of course, but I realized that other people maybe didn't know how to do that. Or it also took so much energy for me to figure out how to do that. I could cut all that out for people and just be like, this is what you do. So I married my life coaching, wellness coaching, and my personal experience to support caregivers in many ways, not just navigating the healthcare system, but in navigating challenging communication and using mindfulness-based practices to help bring it all in, calm it all down, respond instead of react.
When your mom was diagnosed with this, you probably had no healthcare background, I'm assuming, right?
No.
So what
No.
did you Did you suspect something was wrong with her, or was it just like all of a sudden you get a call and she has a diagnosis? How did that work?
So that's kind of a longer story. I'll give you the snippets. But basically, my mom was a caregiver to my grandmother, and I was also a caregiver to my grandmother, but my grandmother was physically challenged but mentally fine. My mom was her caregiver for about 25 years, and my grandma stayed at home until pretty much the end. But my my mom, she just seemed to have throughout her life a lot of anxiety, stress, and depression.
Mhm.
And when my grandma died, um, my mom really shifted. It, her already maybe mental health challenges expanded into, I guess, this diagnosis, but she might have even known before I did. Like I wasn't at her doctor's appointments. I wasn't really paying attention to that. I remember one summer, it was probably the summer of, maybe it was the summer of 2013, or maybe it was 2014. Maybe it was even 2015. I'm not great with time. But um, we'd gone shopping and she got a bunch of new clothes. She'd lost a lot of weight and was like feeling really good. So we went to our now closed department store, the Hudson's Bay Company, which is a very old company here in Canada. And they had great sales. Anyway, it's like your Macy's. So we went there, got her a bunch of new clothes, and the next day we were going to meet up, and she couldn't remember getting those clothes, where
Wow.
she put them, anything. And I was like, what? Like, and we fought a lot too. So I just thought she was being annoying. So what do you mean? What do you mean? Where did you put those clothes? So she, it took me a minute to kind of adjust to from us not getting along and her being annoying to, oh, there's something bigger is happening here. And gosh, I don't really remember the timeline of when we went to the doctor, but it must have been that year. Um, and it was a horrible experience going to the doctor. The way that I don't know about the States, but the way that it's diagnosed here is just totally stigmatized and horrible and not helpful at
Yeah.
all. So we went through that, and then that was just weird, little weird that my mom loved driving. She loved reading. Those things became challenging. I didn't understand why. I thought she was having vision problems. So I kept taking her to the doctor. Let's go to the doctor. Go to the eye doctor. Get you new glasses. Why else wouldn't you want to read? But she couldn't. I didn't realize that.
What did you? So I'm fond of saying a good friend of mine. I can't take credit for this, but he calls it diagnose and adios when a person gets a dementia diagnosis. Was that kind of your experience too?
Like, what does he mean by that
So
exactly?
diagnose and adios. You get a diagnosis from the doctor, and that's really all you're leaving that office with is a
Oh,
diagnosis. Not like here's some resources.
yeah,
Here's
yeah.
what you're going to need to be the caregiver. That sort of thing.
That's 100. I love it now that I fully understand it. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Our family doctor um had delivered me, so he was with my mom for decades, right? So the family doctor, and he retired kind of like at the beginning,
Mhm.
but he did as much as he could. I mean, there's a little bit more here, I think, than there. Like we have public home support, right? It's not easy to get it, it's not effective, it's not adequate, but we have it. Um, so he really kind of helped get me going in a direction that might not have happened if we'd had another doctor, because I don't hear that from other people. But yes, it was like, oh, call the Alzheimer's Society, good luck. And that gets me back. So I thought I was going to call the Alzheimer's Society. And that's where the team of the opposite of adios was going to
Right.
be, right? They did that. And then I thought, I really was shocked. I really thought people were going to come help us, and that was not the case.
When did it dawn on you that that wasn't the case?
Well, basically when they said it.
So,
But
yeah. So
yeah.
when you realize that like there's no reinforcements coming, there's no support coming, like you as her daughter and as her family caregiver, what did you do?
Someone told me, well, I started getting kind of strategic, right?
Mhm.
But I didn't know what to be strategic about because I hadn't done this before and I didn't know anything. My grandma was in the healthcare system, of course, but she was kind of set up. She wasn't a complex care, really. So, my mom was more of a complex care. My mom was really young. So she was energized and wanted to like live and do things and be out all day and go have fun. And I had to work and maintain things. Um, but yeah, I guess the way that it happened was I did start to go to a support group. Um, and I met somebody at that support group that was very smart. I could tell she was smart. And I was like, hey, can we be friends? I need your phone number. And she said yes. We're still friends to this day. But she actually taught me, Lorraine, she taught me how to advocate. She really taught me how the system works. I didn't know. I really didn't know. And
You don't need to
and
know.
I don't know how I would have found out if I hadn't met Lorraine. The support group was actually terrible, and I didn't go after I met Lorraine. Like I feel like I just went to meet her,
Hmm.
and that really helped me. I someone else had said, "Oh, you got to call the intake line," and blah, blah, blah. And I did that, and it was just a horrible experience. So once Lorraine came into my life, that really, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is you got to play this. You got to know how to work it." And I didn't even know what was there to work, until I met Lorraine. It was a lot.
How, if you don't mind me asking, Katrina, how old was your mom when she got her diagnosis?
She was in her early 60s.
Okay.
I don't fully remember the timeline. She was in her early 60s. Sorry, I'm like super, I should have written the numbers down first. I'm super bad with timelines, but she was in her early 60s. And I didn't think the doctors were right.
Hmm.
I thought because it was such a stigmatized situation, I did not think the doctors were doing their job. And actually, and that did become true at other times, right? So it wasn't like I was full wrong there, but yeah, she was, and she'd probably been living with dementia for some time. I don't know if a different doctor had diagnosed her before, and I never kind of fully found that out. Our family doctor said, kind of alluded that he'd known for some time,
Really?
but
He knew,
you know,
or your mom also knew?
he knew. But I didn't, she was there with me at the appointment, so I didn't want to speak
Right.
about my mom if she wasn't in the room. That to me is horrible. And people did that throughout the whole life together, and I found it so offensive. So I really tried to not, I could probably find the doctor now and ask him, but at the time I was really just trying to maintain dignity
Sure.
and also not shame my mom or make her feel bad.
Right.
And would it have mattered? Would that information have mattered to me
Right.
anyway? I don't know that it would have made any difference. That's kind of how I started weighing things. What do I need versus what do I not need to keep it
Right. Uh,
copacetic-ish?
Before we go on, just another quick question. So, how did your mom respond and handle the diagnosis? Like, what was her impression of it? Did she understand
And
it, or?
no, she rejected it. I mean, I feel like she was pretty um significantly a few years in, at least, right? I think, knowing what I know now.
Right.
At the time,
That's
I didn't
usually the
know
case, right?
anything. Sorry?
I said that's usually the case. People have it, but before it really starts to present itself or family become aware of it or there's a diagnosis, they're usually a couple of years in sometimes because they can hide it so well and, they can kind of skate by for a while.
Yeah, and just manage it.
Right.
Looking back now, I think she was scared and knew something was wrong, but she also didn't really know anything. None of us really know anything about dementia. Doctors, like, no one kind of knows. Lori, Tipa, these people, we know, but it's just not common knowledge,
Right.
right? I remember being a kid and watching TV and seeing the ads. Remember that? Like in the 80s or 90s, the ads started coming.
Mm.
Maybe it was the 90s. Like, if someone has Alzheimer's, we can help. But it wasn't really a thing.
Right.
It's kind of new,
Yeah.
right? So, and it's new and it exploded, and it takes so much care and attention that it is a 911. But people were catching up slowly. I would say, very far behind in how things could be.
So you're helping with people catch up, though, and that's kind of how we were initially introduced. Is your series "Things Not to Say to a Caregiver"? Before we really dive into that, though, when you're on this caregiving journey for your mom, one, obviously it's extremely emotional, it's difficult, and eventually, that caregiving journey does come to an end, sadly. When did you decide, what, I'm going to continue advocacy and, commit myself to the caregiving space and helping other caregivers? A lot of people kind of return and go back to what life was somewhat like before they became a family caregiver, but you decided to kind of stay in the thick of it. What led you to want to stay in the thick of these things?
Well, I call myself an accidental advocate because I didn't even know that I was advocating. I was just speaking the truth, and quite boldly, probably. You know me a little bit. You can probably believe that. But we were in the system. We were navigating this situation, and I was never rude or unfriendly, because as a producer, I know that doesn't really get you very far. You need a lot of things, and you need people to want to give you those things. But I would just be very curious and point things out that were true. And then things started coming my way, like, hey, this group needs to hear from a caregiver. Would you speak to this group? Or be a patient advisor, caregiver advisor? Or, we have a seniors advocate here in BC, which is a government job, but at least we have somebody. We just had someone really great for many years, and she retired. But, I helped weigh in on a home support survey and just kind of doing all these things. So I became an advocate accidentally. And of course, while I was navigating being in the hospital or just accessing services, like that was advocating. And, after mom left, I just kind of felt, well, mom didn't go through this for nothing. Mom would give you the shirt off her back if it was the last thing she had. She would help anybody. And she would want that. She would want what her lived experience to help other people. And that's why I share our story. I speak up, I speak out. And I won't stop doing that unless people are like really rejecting me, Lance. But so far, no, but even if so, maybe that just means there's something that really needs to be said, that people just don't want to hear. But I kind of look at it as my mom would want this to continue.
Right.
I have more time now, that I'm not a 24/7 caregiver. So I have more ability to do that. And, so many people did come out of the woodworks and help us in little ways. And, we're all going to need care.
Yeah.
We're all going to need care. So it could even be selfish. Like, I'm doing it for me.
Right.
Like in 20 years, I might be there too, or less. You never know. So we really need things to change as a society.
Absolutely. Was there a single pivotal moment from your experience caring for your mom with her early onset dementia that really helped to shape your approach? Or was it just the whole thing overall?
I did many things happened, and it changes often. But I remember kind of towards the beginning, we were in her apartment, and I was still playing into the arguing, right? No, I'm right. No, she's right. I'm right. And we were going back and forth, and it was like a light kind of went off, came over me, and realized this. I'm the only one who, mom can't control how she's changing and how she's showing up and presenting and maybe what comes out of her mouth, but I can. And I'm going to need to do that because this is definitely going to be a marathon and not a sprint. And I feel terrible every day. The kind of pushing back, the anger, the frustration, it's exhausting me further.
Yeah.
So and what a way to live a life. Why am I arguing with her all the time? Why have I been arguing with her for all these decades? Like it was deep, like a lot happened when that realization was there, and then it kind of kept going. But from that moment on, I did have awareness around my approach. And if you have awareness, you have an opportunity to shift.
Right.
And even if you don't shift the first time, you have an opportunity again. We'll have many opportunities if we take them. Yeah.
So as you're caring for your mom, and you are a producer, as you've shared, when did you make the decision, I need to create this content, things not to say to a caregiver, to help other caregivers? Because it's a phenomenal series. We're going to have some pictures up on the screen, as well as the links to the episodes in the show notes. But where did that idea originate from?
Yeah. So my producing partner and I were both caregivers to moms living with dementia, and her mom actually passed in December. And my mom passed in spring of 2022. And, throughout the caregiving journey, I'd heard many things that made me feel terrible. My all-time favorite is favorite thing that I don't like. Not favorite thing that I do like. My all-time favorite thing that I don't like was, you really need to take care of yourself. Thanks. That never occurred to me. I never would have thought that, yeah, I intentionally have stopped caring for myself because why bother? Why bother? So, but, and the term self-care, like, oh my God, like cringe fest. So it kind of started with that. I really had a hard time because of course I didn't intend to not take care of myself. I didn't have enough help to take care of myself, but nobody seemed to consider that. Well, if you want me to take care of myself, you're going to come over for a couple hours so I can have a nap and a shower, because that would be better than just saying you need to take care of yourself. So that was something that kind of like, this is before mom died, that really like stepped it into view. And this was something I would talk about a lot. And other people got it. Like they got it, and other people felt that way. And Lorraine, who I mentioned before, we would talk about this, and we'd talk about infuriating things that people say to us, or, we would just kind of go down the gamut. And then it really, and we have a friend who was navigating a diagnosis of cancer. People were saying horrible, like just terrible things to her as well. And then after mom died, a couple days after, my producer partner Jess and I were sitting here with our other good friend, and we'd been on a walk, and mom and I were kind of well known in our building and in the neighborhood. Mom was in a big tilt wheelchair, and we walked every day. I took mom for a walk, rain or shine, wind, snow, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, people would be like, oh, where's your mom? And, I would tell them, mom died yesterday or whatever it was. And you must be so relieved, and it was like, oh my God, like that is just not how I feel right now at all. Like my mom died. It's like, oh, good thing your dog died. You don't have to pick up its poop anymore. What a relief. Like it's such a throwaway thing to say. And we were sitting here and we talked about it before, about maybe it being a coffee table book or something like that, which we may still do. We think we're going to do that. And maybe we should cut that part out so that we don't give it away. But anyway, we were like, it could be a show. And other people, if I'm feeling like this, if Jess is feeling like this, if Lorraine's feeling like this, Liba's heard things as a mom, other people are feeling this way. So let's start putting our intention towards making this show. And people have been resonating with it.
Yeah. When it comes out, so there's 8 episodes total right now for season 1? 7 total episodes for season 1. When they're released, do you normally just release them like once a month or all 7 at the same time? How does that work?
I'm not in charge of releasing them, but I believe they were released all at once. We did a pilot. So there's a funder here that you can apply for to get some money to do it. So we applied, we won to make a pilot, we made the pilot, and then we won that and went to series. We'd had another successful show that I think has over 2 million views now, called Therapeutic Fibbing, which is Jessica, Pat Holden, and myself, and they really developed that one. It's she doesn't like maybe if I say this, but it's loosely based on Jess's family, and it's about a family navigating a diagnosis of dementia. All the series are scripted, so it's actors. I think that's important. People don't know, I think, that we're doing scripted caregiving stuff, which is rare.
Right.
There's not a whole lot of it. But we're trying to take a lighter approach to this topic. Like there are moments, like some of the things that happen in caregiving are hilarious. You know, there's for the caree and the caregiver, like there's still options for moments of joy, right? And big aha moments that can really take us to the next level. So that's kind of what we try to do with our content.
No, that's incredible, Katrina. And, I want to go back to Things Not to Say. So it's an incredible series. I've seen all 7 episodes now. But for people watching or listening, and maybe like what had happened to you, somebody says something and it's not intended to be hurtful or harmful or, mean, but it is. But that person's saying it just doesn't know, right? What's the best way to respond?
Well, now you can just send them the show.
Okay.
That's why we made it. It's like, because it's like caregiver labor, right? It's like, we have enough on our plate. We don't say anything because the saying something's too exhausting. Okay, I'm speaking for everybody here, and that's not fair, but I know I didn't say things because I just couldn't navigate and care for that person feeling bad if I called them on it.
Right. Okay.
Or explained why, right? Like I didn't have the energy for that or the bandwidth. So I think we've made the response to
Right.
that.
So I'll use your example then. That person that had said that to you, after your mom had passed, do you just ignore and walk, or do you smile, nod? Like, what do you
I
do
mean,
in a situation? Because that's a really uncomfortable situation for people.
yeah, I was pretty feisty
Okay.
in that time. Cause I think by the third or fourth time I heard it, I was like, oh my God, I can't hear it again, you know? Um, and, and I believe I started saying, yeah, relief isn't exactly the word that I would use to describe how I'm feeling. Like, it's my mom, she's gone and I miss her.
Yeah.
She had a life before dementia too. And we had a life with dementia as well. And just because dementia's stigmatized doesn't mean that she wasn't a person.
Right.
And I just felt like, yeah, it just really didn't land with me. And, it would have been okay to just say, I'm sorry for your loss. People making an assumption about how I was feeling didn't need to happen. It was that assumption. It's one of the four agreements. Don't make assumptions.
Right.
And it did hurt me. But yeah, I did say things.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. When people watch this, what's your greatest hope that they take away from things not to say to a caregiver?
Good question. Well, a lot of the comments that we've been getting are, people saying, yes, this happens to me. I'm so glad that people are talking about this because it is I just feel like we don't talk about it. Like, because either we can't do the emotional labor to walk the person, or we're protective in our polite society and we don't want to hurt somebody else's. They might have hurt our feelings, but we're not going to hurt their feelings back, even though we don't intend to hurt their feelings. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it goes on, right? So I guess, it's great when people feel validated or seen and recognized, and know that caregiving is very isolating. So hopefully this show mitigates some of that and helps people feel understood. And as I said a few moments ago, hopefully people are like, this is a great tool. I'm going to send this to some people that may have said some things not to say to me. And maybe they'll get different things said.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. And also you co-founded a nonprofit.
Yes, it's very new. Founded a
Caregiver.
a nonprofit called Care Nation, carenation.ca. The hope is well, as an individual, I can't apply for grants or funding for any programs, and I would really like for caregivers, at least, maybe I can touch my community, but caregivers to be less isolated,
Hmm.
right? It's the way I think about it is every caregiver's reinventing the wheel. Why? You've already done I've done all this, you know, if you had access to me, then you wouldn't maybe have to learn the hard way, right? But we're all kind of starting from square one. And I find just that connection with someone else, like again, Lorraine, gosh, she's been shout out. She's gonna have to listen to this. It'll be it's about Lorraine. But Lorraine, if I hadn't had Lorraine as a touchstone, I would have been really alone. Really, really alone. Like, of course, I had friends, but mom's friends basically disappeared, except one, because her mom had had Alzheimer's, and my mom helped her and her mom navigate their journey. So she stuck around. But, they say a diagnosis of dementia, everyone disappears, right? And that was very true. And again, if that's happening for me, I'm sure it's happening for other people. It happened with Lorraine. So how do we connect and create community and find each other and learn from one another, or learn from other people that have done things, how can we have group learning and group connection? So that's something that we're really interested in navigating and investigating with Care Nation.
That's wonderful. And it's carenation.ca, correct?
Correct.
When you're, I just wanted to kind of touch on your social circle. Like you said, a lot of times people just disappear and they're nowhere to be found. You were younger when, your mom was diagnosed, and all of a sudden you're stepping into this caregiver role. Any of your friends that kind of were your friends but kind of walked away or maybe stepped back as you were caring for your mom, have any of them reached out to you since then? Maybe they got a diagnosis in their family, now they're taking on this caregiving role and they're kind of understanding what you went through more?
There's been a little bit of that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely there. Not super prominently, but it has happened for sure. I'm pretty blessed in my tight friend circle. I had people really show up, especially one person, one of my best friends, Sabina. She basically became a caregiver to mom and even did things that you wouldn't expect your friend to do, right?
Yeah.
And after watching the series, I've had people say, did I do that? And yeah, I don't know if the people that kind of did depart even know what I'm doing now, or would feel like it was right to, like, there's definitely a handful of people. But I do, you know what, actually, okay, now that I think about it, yes, there is one person. And yes, that has happened. Sorry, I forgot about that person because, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Oh, okay. All right. You got everybody interested.
Yeah, but there is one very significant person. And, how do you navigate that, right? Like I do my best for myself, and hopefully that supports that person as well.
No, that's wonderful. Katrina, where would you like people to go to learn more about you and the work that you're doing?
They can visit my website at katrinaLovePrescott.com. I guess that would be the best place. You can link to all of my stuff from there. And if you're interested in the nonprofit, that's carenation.ca, and you can donate to us there as well.
It's a good exchange rate, Canadian to American.
It is. It is. Your dollar goes really far.
And you're on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn and Facebook. We'll have all that in the show notes as well. Why don't you leave us with one tip? What would you say to someone who might just be starting out as a family caregiver? What do you recommend to them?
If someone had told me this at the beginning, I feel like my whole journey would have been different, but really learn how to consciously breathe. It might sound very minimal or cliche or new agey, but really, if you can take a conscious breath, you're not thinking. And if you're not thinking, you actually get a moment of a break, a moment of respite. I actually have a free respite guide download on my website. If you go to my katrinaLovePrescott.com. But really, because those breaks, those conscious breathing moments give us an opportunity to have a pause. And many things can happen in that moment. Different decision is made, a solution comes through, just a break, even a mood can change. There's a lot of opportunity. So I teach it. I'm sure other people on the internet teach it because I learned it. But really, I'll teach it right now. 2 fingers below your belly button is called your navel point, and that needs to be moving. for you to actually be breathing in a way that will give you a break. So you breathe, you inflate from there, you go all the way up to here, slow as you can, and then back this way, deflates, and then your belly button goes to your spine. But if the belly's not moving, your lower belly's not moving, you're not consciously breathing. So slow. You can do it all day. You can do it at a red light. You can do it while you're tying your shoe, when you're waiting for an elevator, when you're in the grocery store line, when you're on hold waiting for your health insurance people, which I've done recently for my dad in your wonderful country. You can also do that in my wonderful country. But really introducing that conscious breathing, it's like a mini meditation each time you do it. And it creates a lot of space, and it'll lower your blood pressure. It'll really help stabilize your foundation. I have a million other tips, but that would be the number one thing I would start with.
Wonderful. Well, we appreciate it. Katrina Love Prescott, founder of Things Not to Say to a Caregiver, as well as co-founder of Care Nation. Thank you so much for joining us, and look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Thanks so much for having me, Lance. I really appreciate you.
Our pleasure. Bye-bye.
Is this like a full-time job for you with your kid's special needs?
Now, have you thought about getting some help?
I think it'd be better for everyone if she went into long-term care.
What did you just say?
You just said a classic thing not to say to a caregiver.
Who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you? What is going on here? What did you do to my wife?
This is your Carrie godmother.
What the?
She's like a magical fairy godmother, but for caregivers.
Let's try that again, shall we?
Did you just freeze me?
And I'm a real piece of work.
Thank you for joining us today here at All Home Care Matters. All Home Care Matters is here to help families as they navigate these long-term care issues. We invite you to visit us at allhomecarematters.com, where there's a private, secure, fillable form where you can give us feedback, show ideas, or if you have questions. Every form is read and responded to. And remember, you can listen to the show on any of your favorite podcast streaming platforms or watch the show on our official YouTube channel. Just make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We'd also like to say thank you again to Katrina Love Prescott for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you again here at All Home Care Matters.
Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to you joining us again on another episode of All Home Care Matters. To learn more about the show and to connect with us, visit us at allhomecarematters.com.